Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Margarita and today Duke and I are here to bring you an unhaul. So this is the one downside slash beautiful part of filming on my floor. It's that Duke wants to be a part of it. So if I get distracted, how can you blame me with this kind of cuteness? So I ordered some books recently and ran out of bookshelf space, and I had to unhaul some books because I have quite a few on my shelves that I've either read and I'm not interested in rereading, I didn't like, or I have books that I'm just not as interested in reading anymore. I've given them a chance and I just don't think they're for me. So without further ado, let's get into the video. His ear. So the first two books that I have are part of a series, and it is The Fire and the Snow by Carolyn B. Cooney. And the first book in this series, I believe, is called The Fog. And I do not actually own that book. I bought these books because I had read them when I was younger, and I remember really enjoying them, but I never found the first book, and I've never reread them. And if I'm interested in rereading them, I can get them from the library, which is where I got them in the first place. So I'm going to let these go. The next book that I have is The Fortune Hunter by Daisy Goodwin, and I believe that this is a historical fiction about the Empress Elizabeth of Austria, and I'm sure it's great, I'm sure it's interesting. I'm just not interested in this anymore, so I'm gonna let it go. The next book is Eater of Souls by Linda S. Robinson, and this is a book that has made it through many an unhaul on my channel. I bought this at a library book sale. It used to be an old library book, and I just thought it sounded really interesting. It's really short. I never ever reach for it. And I think it's time to let it go. And I think this is like the 5th or 6th book in a series. I don't know if it's necessarily one of those series that you have to read in order, but I'm just not going to waste the space on my shelf. Sorry, I just got off of work, and words are very hard at this moment. The next book that I have is The Bees by Laylene Paul, and I read this book and I enjoyed it. It's a dystopian novel where the main character is a bee who does not fit the hive mind, and she's different. And it was really interesting when I read it, but I don't think I'm ever going to reread it, and if I want to, I'm sure I can find this from the library. Part of me doesn't want to get rid of it because it's yellow and it like fits so nicely with my yellow spines on my rainbow shelf, but it's time to make room for other books, so this one can go. The next book is Exit West by Mohsin Hamid, and I got this from a friend of mine when she unhauled it, and I read it as an audiobook, and honestly that's the only reason I made it through this book. I'm never going to reread it. I have no interest in this story whatsoever. It sounds like a really cool premise. It's about these two people in some war-torn country, and doors start to open that lead them to a better place. But it didn't live up to what I was hoping it would be, so I'm going to get rid of this. Maybe someone else will love it. It's not for me, though. The next book is The Cruelest Month by Louise Penny, and this book is I guess, murder mystery type book, and I tried listening to this on audiobook and I just didn't care. I fell asleep at one point, and that's when I realized, when I woke up and I didn't want to go back and see where I had fallen asleep, that's when I realized that I don't need this book in my life. I wasn't interested in it, so I'm just gonna let it go. The wait list for the audiobook of this was absolutely ridiculous at my library, so I know someone's going to love this. I think this is a very popular series, and I think this is like the 3rd or 4th book in that series. It's just not for me, and that's okay. The next book is The Shadow of the Wind by Carlos Ruiz Zafón. And if you know me, you're probably like, how are you getting rid of that book? That's your favorite book. It's because my friend Maya got me this absolutely stunning edition right here, and I don't need 2 editions of the same book. I'm trying not to be that person, so I'm gonna let this go. Hopefully someone else will find it and fall in love with it like I did. The next book is The Strange Case of the Alchemist's Daughter by Theodora Goss, and this is a book that I read. I gave it 3 stars. It was okay. It wasn't great. It's not anything that I thought was amazing. It's pretty superficial, honestly, but it's supposed to be like the gothic classic tales retold and gender bent, and it follows their daughters and like the shenanigans that they get up to, and it was okay. I know that my library has the rest of this series, so if I do feel compelled to continue on with the series at some point, I can get it from my library, but this is not a book that I want to keep on my shelves. The next book I have so many unsettling feelings about, and that is Alice I Have Been by Melanie Benjamin. And I got this from my local secondhand bookstore, and the only reason I picked it up is because this is a fictionalized story of the little girl that Alice in Wonderland is based off of. So this is supposed to be the fictionalized life of Alice Little, and it's just so creepy. The more I read it and the relationship with her and Lewis Carroll's character, the more uneasy I got, and I was like, I don't know if I can handle this. And I just kept having this sinking feeling. And so I started looking at reviews for this book, and I realized that what I thought was happening, and that they think that this is, like, not necessarily this, but they think that he was actually a pedophile, and that makes me so sick. And it makes Duke sick too. I don't know if you guys heard that. But like just the whole thought of it makes me sick, and it makes the story of Alice in Wonderland a lot less magical and whimsical and lovely for me, because basically the only reason he wrote it down was to try and trap and capture Alice. And it's just, it just makes me sick. I have a lot of feelings. I didn't even finish that book. I think I got like 30 or 40% through the way, and I was like, I can't deal with this anymore. It has to go. I don't want it on my bookshelves. I don't want to put it back out into the world, but I can't have it. It needs to go. It needs to be away from me. I want nothing to do with it. The next book that I have to talk about is Coraline by Neil Gaiman, and I've read this book a couple times. It's a cute, creepy little children's book. I just don't think I'm going to reread it, and if I want to, I can always get it from the library. This is not something I need to keep on my shelves, so I'm going to spread the wealth, let someone else enjoy it. Also, along the same vein, is The Girl Who Circumvented Fairyland in a Ship of Her Own Making by Catherine M. Valente. This was an okay book. I know lots of people love this book. I thought it was just okay. I didn't think it was anything fabulous, but I've heard people who loved the first book thought that the series went downhill with the later books, and it's just like, if I'm already not that invested in the first book, why do I want to keep it and then continue on with a series that is only going to get worse? So I'm gonna let this go. Hopefully the next person who picks this up will be someone who absolutely adores it. It was good, it just was not my favorite. And last but not least, I have an entire series, and this one was hard for me because I love the covers, I love the design, I just think they're so beautiful, but I have tried to read the first book 3 or 4 times. I've tried on audiobook, I've tried physically reading it, and I just can't get into the story. And I know that if there comes a date where I really, really want to read it, I can get it from my library. But that series is the Wildwood series. So there's Wildwood, Wildwood Emporium, and Under Wildwood. And look how beautiful these are. I mean, and they're drawings on the inside, and it's just absolutely stunning. This is such a lovely children's book, and I was so hoping to love it, but I think I've gotten like maybe 200 pages into it, maybe a little bit less, and the story doesn't capture me, and it makes me so sad. So I'm gonna just let these go, because they are pretty chunky books, and there are 3 of them. So I'm gonna let them go, use my bookshelf space for more important things that I am actually interested in reading and keeping in my collection, and hopefully one day I will pick these up again from the library, maybe fall in love with them and buy them again. But for right now, they deserve a better home. So those are all of the books that I am unhauling currently. Let me know in the comments down below if you've read any of these books, your thoughts and opinions on these books, if you think I should keep one of them, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!